This video is demystifying the discount rate. So to describe this in an analogy, if you remember back in the day being at Dave and Buster's, all excited, cracked out on candy, playing games with your friends. I remember the situation when I was a young kid is I was there, with my buddies, and one of my buddies wanted to play that virtual reality game that cost a ton of points, so no one ever did because you didn't get any tickets from it. So it's like only the rich kids play that. You know what I mean? You're going to go do this thing. You don't even get tickets and it costs like 30, 40 points for that thing. But he really wanted to play. So he offered me this deal. It's like, hey, if you give me 20 of your points now, the next time we're here, I'll give you 40 of my points. And initially I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good. That's 2x multiple. I'll get 40 points next time. Then I started thinking about it. The first thing is that my birthday was coming up. So I knew I was going to get a ton of points from my parents, right? And that would be analogous to the risk-free rate, is something you can achieve with basically no risk, right? So if I get 200 points from them, I don't really care that much about 40, right? Where there's some risk with that 40. The second thing is this kid was suspect. You know what I mean? There is a significant risk that he was not going to pay me back. So that's the risk premium. So now I'm thinking about the risk-free rate and the risk premium of making this deal. And then the third thing is I really wanted this giant Pikachu doll, and I was close to having enough tickets. So if I gave up 20 of my points, that would be less opportunity where I get tickets for that doll, right? So that's opportunity cost. So those are the three things that are going to go into your discount rate. It's what is the risk-free rate? What is the return you can get with no risk? I'll talk about that. It's about 5% right now. People typically use the 3-month treasury bill returns. The risk premium, what is the risk of this investment? You can calculate it. You guys probably aren't going to, so I'm going to talk about how to do that. And the third one is opportunity cost, is what else can you invest in? So as an institutional investor, calculating the discount rate can be pretty challenging. You have to kind of evaluate things like beta. There's all sorts of different equations for it. I'm not going to get into any of that, but the reason why discount rate is important is there are a lot of financial assets out there. And I'm going to really dig into this into the next video, where you don't get your cash flows until way down the road, right? So it can look like it's a really good deal if you're not applying a discount rate, right? So you need to take a look at when you're getting cash flows, and basically what you do is you discount that future cash flow based on whatever number you choose, right? So if I'm going to get cash in 5 years, I should discount that every year by some percentage to think about what it's really valued at right now. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys a spreadsheet about this. What I recommend for you guys when you do this, it's real easy math. I'll show you this spreadsheet, and it's really important. I would use 7%, not 5%. The reason for that, 5% is used by like these big institutional investors because they have to deploy a lot of capital, but it's really easy to get a low risk 7% asset right now. We offer one. It's an evergreen fund of promissory notes on a portfolio where you get first position on notes on single family homes. So super, super, super low risk. My partner's been doing this forever, but even if you don't come through us, there's a lot of people offering similar assets that are like 7 to 8%. So if you want to, I don't care. I'll refer you to other people as well. But so I'd use 7% when you do this. And I'm going to share my screen here and show you why this is really important to actually do this math when you're looking at something. And I'm going to cover this twice. I'm going to cover this here and in the next video, because honestly, it really pissed me off when I started looking at this. So my mom right now is looking at maybe annuities for retirement. It's like this thing where you pay a lot of cash, and then down the road you get cash flow. So I haven't analyzed the exact one yet, but I will. But I found an actual offering online, an example annuity. And the situation is you pay 100 grand and then you get paid. It's like $600 every month for the rest of your life. So this analysis I did here, right? Here's basically 4 different things you can invest in. In each one, I invested 100 grand. Okay, that's what this column is right here. So I covered, this is the actual deal I invested in 6 months ago. So this is the one I've used for a lot of my analysis. These are the cash flows that I'm projected to get back, right? So some distributions, some principal return. I covered the details in other videos. Here's an example venture capital fund where how VC typically works is you only make money if a startup gets acquired, gets acquired or goes public. That's typically, your exit. So a lot of times you're not getting distributions until way down the road. So in this example, I created a 3x multiple example for a VC fund, which is like upper echelon. This is like the top 1% that can do a 3x multiple, right? And then I took a look at this actual annuity offering. You pay 100K, and I just said, hey, from from the time someone's 70 to 85, they are making this money. So we can change the numbers here if you guys want me to analyze anything you're thinking about. I would love to do that for you. But so here's why the discount rate is important. Is right here, I'm discounting everything by 10%. The reason for that is, I said use 7% for risk-free rate. Well, I'm incorporating opportunity costs as well, because it's real easy for me to get 10%, right? So it's like every year I could be making 10%. So I have to be making something more than that to take, to think about these assets. So if you look at the net present value, it's basically what it is your discount rate over time gives you the net present value. It's the present value of all these future cash flows in the future. So you can see that the deal that I did, even though it's only a 2x multiple, because I'm getting cash early, has a lot more value than this 3x multiple VC firm, right? So this is a really strong point I want to drive home. That's why the discount rate is important. And if you take a look at this annuity, it sounds good. Like, oh, hey, you're going to get paid some amount of money for the rest of your life. This is total dog shit. It's negative $70,000 NPV, meaning this is just really bad. It's negative net present value, So, and I just made a fake annuity that has way better terms than the real one I found, and it's still negative, right? So when I actually get the real numbers for some annuities, I'll throw that in here and do a different video. But so anyways, guys, that's why this is super, super important to understand the discount rate. The math isn't hard either. It's all you do is you pick a number and you type in equals NPV and you highlight all the cash flows, right? So it's really easy stuff to do. I'm also happy to do it for you. The only other point I'll drive home is just understand the concept. If you're not going to do the math, it's really just understanding that illiquid long-term investments, they're going to have to be amazing for you to pick those and make a good decision. It's way easier. If you have something that's distributing cash early, they can have significantly lower numeric returns and still be a better deal for you. The reason for that is because everything else I covered, right? You can reinvest that, opportunity cost, the risk. Like when you have cash in your checking account, there's no longer risk exposure, right? You got it back. So that's why a lot, you'll see like high quality vendors, they want to redistribute the principal as soon as they can, right? Because like the firms I work with, you'll see a lot of times you're getting the principal back early. That's rare. You know what I mean? But that's because they want to be able to show actual really high internal rate of return, and it reduces their risk of like screwing over their investors. It's like my partner I work with, whenever, like 15 years ago when he was first starting, some of his deals went really bad, right? But he chose to redistribute the capital to his investors, and then he lost everything, right? But he saved his professional reputation because his investors got their capital back, right? So a lot of these guys, especially the ones I work with, it's more important for them to maintain their reputation. So they want to give you your money back as soon as possible, right? And then they kind of hold all the risk at that point. So anyways, I hope this was helpful for everyone. I'm going to cover this again because it's really important. So when I talk about net present value in the next video, but if you have questions or comments, I would love to hear them.